listening to the Terrific Teacherpreneur, a podcast for teachers looking to grow a successful online business. Your host, Alex, was able to transform her Teachers Pay Teachers store from a small side hustle into a profitable full-time business. She now helps other teachers do the same. Listen along for actionable tips and helpful wisdom about business and marketing as a teacherpreneur. Here's your host, Alex.
Hello and welcome to the Terrific Teacherpreneur podcast. I'm your host, Alex, and today I want to talk about the tasks in your business that will increase your sales. This is something that I have been super passionate about in the last year or so. I have to probably admit that it became more obvious to me once I had children. So once I had Lily, I think this is like really when it kind of hit me. But when I was full-time TPT, before I had children, I had a lot of time to work on my business. And so when you have what feels like, large amounts of time, you can kind of try to do everything. You can, you've got like all these goals or this to-do list, and you kind of feel like you can almost do it all. You're like, oh yeah, I could start a new account, a marketing platform. I've got time for that. I'll just start it. It tends to give you this kind of power trip where you're like, I can do anything. When you have like what feels like endless amounts of time, you end up taking on more, you tend to do more, but you don't necessarily do it well. But anyway, once I had Lily and I started to feel more time poor, so suddenly I have literally less time to work on my business, I think I had a lot more of a reality check around spending my time wisely. I started to say to myself, well, I don't have full-time hours anymore. I now have like these small little pockets of time. So when I work on TPT, I need to be way more productive. I need to be working on way more profitable tasks. I can't waste time anymore on things that don't bring me money. I can't just do anything and everything. I literally don't have the time. And a lot of you listening are probably the same, whether it's because you're working full-time as a teacher and your time for TPT is limited to like kind of side hustle hours. You feel like you've only got a few hours here and there each week to actually work on TPT. Maybe that's it. Maybe you're just like me, busy parent, there's lots going on, like your time is limited. And so you have to spend it well. And so I've had this reality check recently that I want to spend my time on things that are actually going to bring me money. I started being a lot more mindful of that. And that often means I've had to let things go. I've had to spend less time on things or hire things out, if I want to. But I started saying to myself, I actually just can't justify spending 20 minutes making an Instagram reel, because how do I know that's going to really bring me much money? That 20 minutes is probably way better spent on SEO. That's going to increase my views. That's going to bring me more sales. I've really started to, assess what I spend my time on and be more mindful of it. Anyway, I've had that reality check, but I know that not everyone necessarily has. And I love analogies. I've had a few on this podcast, like a few episodes. There was one episode, I think, where I was like rambling on about a vegetable garden, like a vegetable patch. I don't know if you remember that one. That was a similar concept though. I was talking about like watering all these different plants and things and how dividing your time up. Like it's kind of an interesting concept. But this time I have another analogy for you. And I'm hoping it really gets you thinking more. It's all like good and well for me to say, spend time on this, it makes more money, or don't spend time on that. Like I can sort of say those things, but it doesn't really hit home, I don't think, until you think about things this way, in a physical way. Everything we do with TPT is so digital and online. You can't really quantify it, but like this analogy I'm going to give you is like you're physically doing something and physically seeing the results. And I think it's going to get you going like, whoa. Okay, so let's just dive in before you go like, what is she going on about? So basically, this analogy is I want you to think about tasks in your business that you spend your time on, and I want you to think about them as a button, like a physical button that you press. So like you imagine yourself sitting at your desk or your workspace, and no, you're not like typing on a computer like you normally would for TPT. You've got this desk in front of you, and it's just like, there's no computers or anything like that. It's just a bunch of buttons, like physical, like a big red button that you press. Okay. And there's a couple of them in front of you, and you have to press them, and you press each button for the tasks within your business. There's like a little label on each one telling you what each button is. For example, you might have a product creation button, optimizing listings button, a product photography button, and then you might have buttons for your various marketing platforms. Pinterest, Instagram, your Facebook page, your blog, your email list, that kind of thing. And you press the button and something really cool happens. There's like a little opening underneath where money comes out. And I'm talking physical money. like actual cash. So dollar notes kind of thing, like they literally come out of the button when you press it, like a $1 note or a $50 note or a $100 note, or coins, like a dollar coin, that kind of thing. I don't know how this is going to translate because I'm in Australia. So our currency is, we call it dollars, but it's not the same as you guys in the US. Like we don't have like a quarter. We have like 50 cents. And I don't know how, I don't know the currencies are going to line up exactly, but who cares really? Let's just pretend it's coins and notes coming out, okay? Dollars and cents. Or whatever currency. If you're in the UK and you want to use pounds, that's fine. But yeah, money actually comes out when you press the button. And I think you're going to start getting the hint really soon about why I'm talking about this. Like I said, everything is so online with GPT. Everything's so like theoretical. When we get money, it's like a number on a screen. And it's just not a physical thing. And in this example, you are physically pressing a button and money is physically sliding out and being given to you. So it's very physical. And I think you could compare it to the whole like cashless society debate. You know how like we buy things now so much, not just online, but like we go to a store and we're just like, beep, we just like tap our card, we swipe it, we insert it. We a lot less now physically get out a wallet and hand over cash. And a lot of the research into it has shown that we spend more money when we're using cards, credit cards and debit cards and things, because we're not physically handling that money. When we're physically holding like a $100 note and we hand over and it's gone, we're like, oh, it's like it hits you in a way more raw sense. But when you just like tap on your card, it doesn't feel quite as real. And that's what they found anyway. Really fascinating. And so I think the same sort of thing applies to GPT. It just feels so theoretical. And in this example, we're physically handling money. So I think it's going to help you think about things. Anyway, here is the scenario, okay? You're sitting at this desk and you start pressing the buttons for where you're spending your time. So you press the product creation button and you have to tap it a couple of times, like 1, 2, 3, 4. It's like it's not a one button situation. You did have to press it a couple of times. But out shoots $400. Oh, score. It's pretty nice. You go across the optimizing listing button and you press it just once. One press and $500 flies out at you. Like, wow, $500, nice, yay. You go across to do some product photography. Beep, beep, beep. 3 times you press it and you get $200. Ka-ching. This is like gambling. I'm not going to lie. It was a little bit like poker machines or something. But yeah, you're pressing a button, money comes out. Pretty cool. Very addictive. Then you go onto your marketing Pinterest button. You press it 9 times. You have to press it a little bit more. Beep, 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 beep. You're pressing it a bunch of times and a $5 note comes out. You go across to Instagram and you have to press the button a lot of times. Like you're pressing it, no money's coming out. So you just keep going. You end up pressing it 40 times before any money comes out. And the amount that comes out is $1. Ouch. Facebook page is the same. You press it about 30 times, like bang, 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 bang. And you're like, oh, my hand hurts. It's so painful. And at the end of it, you get 50 cents. Ooh. You go across to the blog button and you press that 15 times. It takes a couple of presses. It's because blogging is not super easy. You get $7 for that effort. And then your email list, you press it about 6 times and you get $6. Now, that's just an example. And honestly, some of those numbers with the pressing buttons and the cash numbers is me just like making up stuff here. But I kind of wanted to show some things. I'm thinking you might already be getting the hint. So you do that the first time and you're like, okay, wow. Thinking about how many times you press these buttons, how much money you got from each one. You're like, oh, this is really interesting. What do you think would happen each time you went to sit on your desk, like each day? Like tomorrow you come back and you sit at your desk again to start over and you go through and press each of those buttons. Do you think your behavior would change, especially after like 3 or 4 days or like a whole week of doing this? Because imagine the rule here is you don't have to go through like that and press them all in any kind of order. You get to sit at that chair and you get to press any button you want as many times as you want. So someone says that to you like, whoa, you don't have to press all these buttons. You can press whichever ones you want as many times as you want. It's completely up to you because that's what running a business is. You get to make all these decisions. If you had that complete control and you sat down again the next time, once you've kind of learned how much money you got and how many times you had to press it, I want you to think about which buttons you probably would press and which ones you would be sitting there pressing over and over again. And I think if this was like a game, and I think if you had to sit down the second time after being shown that, I pretty much guarantee that you would probably be turning your chair towards one end of the desk and you'd probably sit there and you'd probably press the product creation button. And then you'd go and press the optimizing listing button, probably press that a bunch of times. And then maybe the product photography button or something like that. You'd probably just be sitting there like tapping those. One beep, 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 $400, thank you. Beep, 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 beep. $500, like that's what you do. Because why wouldn't you? who in their right mind would turn around back to that Instagram button and give themselves RSI from tapping it 40 times in order to get $1 to come out? Like, that does not make any logical sense. Like, as a human being, I think you'd learn pretty quick that you'd probably just want to like set fire to that button. It's basically pointless. Now, I'm sure you've gotten the hint about what I'm saying here, but I think I love analogies because I just think they really make you think about things and go like, oh my goodness. Because this whole thing I've been going on about with buttons and cash is your business and it's what you're doing every day. But instead of being like that example where you turn around and you just sit there and you do the product creation, the optimizing, and spend your time on the money-making stuff, what you're probably doing right now is every single day you are pressing all those other terrible buttons. Like, you're just like really think about where you spend your time. So take a second, if you want to pause as you can, but like take a second to think, what do I work on the average week on TPT? Oh, Monday, what did I do? Pretty much the only thing I did was I think I wrote a blog post. So that's like you sitting down at that desk and all you've done is press the button 15 times and get $7 and then you just leave the room. Like that's basically what you did on the Monday. You're like, oh, on the Tuesday, what would I do on the Tuesday? I was doing social media stuff. So I was planning some posts and I put them up. I scheduled some posts on Instagram and Facebook. I felt really productive because I got like 20 posts done. Woohoo, it was awesome. But that's, if you think about it, that's you spending your Tuesday sitting there pressing those buttons like 40 times and getting a couple of dollars out of it. Like, not great. It's like when you really think about it, that's actually what you've been doing. On the Wednesday, though, you said, oh, no, what did I do on Wednesday? I had only an hour in the evening, but I was doing SEO stuff. Yeah, I did SEO the whole time. Well, that's like you sitting there and just like pressing button once and then getting given like $500. The examples I give of the dollar amounts were really just to kind of open your eyes to how a lot of the time marketing is a very high effort, low reward task. And a lot of things like creating products, optimizing your products, things like that do tend to have a much higher reward. And I think you know that on some level deep down. You know that spending half an hour creating a product is much more likely to bring you money than spending half an hour on an Instagram reel. And I know there are exceptions to the rule where some people have really profitable marketing platforms. And if you're a really seasoned seller and you make boatloads of money from your Instagram, of course, I'm not going to tell you to, not use the Instagram button. But this episode is about you being mindful of the risks that are associated with each task in our business. And this is something I read a Facebook post the other day where I was sharing this within my Secrets for Success group. And I said, every task in your business has like a risk attached to it. Some tasks are really high risk and other ones aren't. Some tasks you can almost guarantee that you will probably make money or great money from it. And there are other tasks where it's not really guaranteed. If I sit down and make a product, there's always a possibility that product's a worse seller and doesn't sell. But for the most part, it's pretty great odds for me that someone's going to buy that and I'm physically going to make money. Whether it's $1, whether it's $100, whether it's $1,000, $100,000, like there's real potential there. When I sit down and use my Facebook page for my business, I can pretty much guarantee I'm not going to be making large amounts of money. Like I'm going to be putting in this large amount of effort, probably not in general going to be overly profitable in the months or years to come. Beyond that day of that post, it's how much money am I really going to make from that? This is what I've really been kind of coming to terms with. I actually have another little example for you because that first example was very broad. I was talking about platforms in general, like, oh, here is a blog post button for blogging. Like that's just like the whole blogging in one button. But the reality is when it comes to running a business, there's so many little tasks that we do. And so you could really think in this example of your desk being like a big control panel, you probably have way more than just a handful of buttons. Really, within optimizing your product listings, you could have a button that's for SEO, covers, thumbnails, previews, price changes, like every part of your listing. That could be a button in and of itself. I mean, even within things like product creation, creating the resource, proofreading, like there's lots of different tasks within product creation. Same for every marketing platform. Creating pins is a different task to posting them. Within Instagram, there's reels, stories, captions, hashtags, engaging with your followers. With your blogging, you're writing the post, but then you're proofreading it. There's images to make, SEO. For email marketing, like there's writing the email, but then there's also the stuff behind the scenes, like lead magnets and workflows and things. Like there's all these tasks within it. So you could actually imagine all these buttons for all these different tasks and go like, okay, I mean, I'm sitting here right now spending my precious work session on proofreading a blog post. And it's like, really think about like how much money is that bringing you? This little second example is more for seasoned sellers. At first one, I was kind of getting you to think like, whoa, spending time off my Facebook page is probably a bit of a dud. Like it's probably not bringing me much money. And that's to kind of get you to think about ditching things that aren't bringing you money or spending less time on things, like less time pressing that button. But this second example is more really great if you're more of a seasoned seller because it gets you thinking about hiring. Oh, okay. So within Pinterest, there's the creating the images and then there's like the actual posting of them on Pinterest, like scheduling them, writing descriptions. Like, I mean, I could hire someone to do the posting. I mean, I'm really passionate about the way I create them, but I could hire someone to help me with that. Same with blogging. So you could be the one that feels like you love blogging or you're good at it or only you can write the posts. But you're like, well, there's no reason why I can't hire someone to proofread it and make the images and do the SEO and post it. Like, I could share this with someone else. And of course, that happens with things like Instagram. Yeah, maybe you are the only one that can be in the reels and on the stories, but somebody else totally could be writing captions and researching hashtags and actually scheduling posts. And like, there's a lot that someone else could take on behind the scenes. So you could kind of almost outsource that button to someone else. Like that's always a possibility, if you know what I'm saying. So you're not sitting at that control desk, like going bam, 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 like hands everywhere, trying to hit all these buttons at once. Like that can be really overwhelming. Okay, that is the end. I promise I'm not going to say the word button again. But this little analogy and everything with this podcast is always just giving you things to think about. I love to kind of hook you and kind of go like get you to kind of call you out on things, get you to think about things and go like, oh, that's kind of the goal with this is to always be getting you assessing your business and going, this is something I need to think about changing. Because that's how business works. Like if you want to succeed doing the same thing over and over again, that's the definition of insanity, expecting different results. Like sometimes you have to shake things up and change things. And that is the goal here with this episode, is to just to get you going like, whoa, I think Alex is right. I think I am spending my time terribly. And I'm like a brand new seller and I'm barely making any money. And yet I'm sitting here pressing this Instagram button 40 times and making $1. Why am I not creating products? So that's what this is about, is getting you thinking about where you're spending your time. Even if you've been selling for 10 years and, you don't really need to be constantly creating products. Come on, we all get sucked into the marketing sometimes. We all get sucked into those time-wasting tasks. You could even be honest with yourself and think, task-wise, I mean, how often are you like checking emails or like scrolling on social media? Like there's a lot of things we tell ourselves where we're kind of working on the business, but we're not really. It might even be doing like your accounting stuff. Like you're doing things like on your computer if they feel related to your business, but are they actually bringing you money? Like, that's you pressing that button and getting like nothing coming out. And this is, a great thing for you to think about hiring. But I don't think hiring's always the answer. Sometimes you just literally have to spend less time on stuff. That might be your goal here. You might not be able to afford to hire someone, but you go, Alex's episode has made me really think about how I waste so much time on tasks that bring me no money or next to no money, 50 cents for all that effort. Like, what am I doing? And then you start to spend less time on that thing. There's a lot of pressure in the TPT world, especially if you're in Facebook groups. You see other sellers doing stuff. There's, you see another seller who is more successful than you and they are doing XYZ. So you think, well, I guess I should be doing that too. And it's like a peer pressure thing. And so that's why we take on things that don't bring us money. That's why we take on too much stuff. That's why we spend our time so poorly. I constantly see Facebook posts of brand new sellers saying like, do I need to build a website? Or I've been selling for like 2 months and I'm only making about $50 a month. Should I start blogging? Like, I just want to scream like, no, what are you doing? Why are you spending your time on things that are not going to be bringing you money? Like, you need to be focusing on the really money-making stuff. And nearly always the answer is creating and optimizing your resources on TPT itself. Ugh. I love marketing. I really do, because there's some things that bring me a lot of money. Like, for example, Pinterest is one of my things that brings me a lot of money. So no, if I was listening to this episode, I wouldn't be ditching Pinterest. But it's just about going, okay, disproportionately, do I get more money from this? Do I get more money from that? Where is my money coming from? And being more mindful. And so, yeah, like I said, there are things that I still do in my business because they bring me money. I still have an email list. I still have a Pinterest account. I haven't like ditched those things because they bring me money. Why would I? But I am way more mindful now than I was a few years ago about how much time I spend on those things, because I'm thinking purposefully like, well, I've only got 2 hours today compared to when I was like full time. This like little pocket of time where someone's looking after Lily and I've got to work. Back in the day, I could have just made all these endless amounts of pins, write as many emails as I want. Like now I'm like, okay, I might spend a small amount of time doing a bit of marketing, but really I'm going to be spending these 2 hours on SEO because I know that's going to really impact my views and sales. Like I'm way more mindful of that now. So basically what I'm doing in my business is sitting there and pressing the buttons that are actually going to bring me more money. That's kind of essentially what I'm doing. I kind of want you to do it as well. Okay. that is the end. As always, I hope this episode has helped you, given you something to think about. I would love to hear from you. So, feel free to post in the Facebook group, the Terrific Teacherpreneur or something. If you want to share your thoughts on this, you can always send me a message on Instagram at Terrific Selling Tactics. I'd love to hear this discussion from you. Has this resonated with you? Are you feeling like you're that person, with all these buttons that bring you like no money? I said I wasn't going to say buttons again. I lied. And you're like, oh my goodness, this episode has really made me think about it. Like, I would love to hear your experiences. That's always really helpful to me. And like I said, really hope this has helped. And my goal for you, I really want you to spend your time more wisely. So once you finish listening to this episode, you could take a time to jot down some of the tasks in your business that you've been doing, or just like sit there and think for a second, like, what am I spending my time on? What am I doing? What's on my schedule? What's on my to-do list? What am I doing? And then have that in the back of your mind, the little idea of like the buttons and the cash coming out, and start to think, wow, how much of my time am I spending on things that don't bring me money? Not because it's like a smart thing to do, but just because like there's this pressure in TPT to have a blog. I feel like I should have an email list. I feel like I should be doing that. Like I feel like I should be making more products. Like there's always like these should, like I should be doing this. And we tend to literally listen to that voice in our head more than the logical voice, which is probably saying it would be a waste of time to do that. So I guess I'm kind of getting you to think about that, ignoring what other people are doing, ignoring what you feel like you should be doing, and looking purely at what is bringing you money. And sometimes the best thing to do is to go on to TPT, look at your dashboard, your traffic section, your product statistics, your sales report, your like whatever. And you can look at your analytics on your marketing platforms too, your email conversions and open rates. You can look at your Instagram analytics, whatever, and you can start taking really note and going, for me, what is that button where I have to press it a lot of times and it makes me 50 cents? Because I think that's something you probably need to spend a lot less time on, or completely ditch or hire out or something. And I think that's kind of what I want to leave you with this week, is looking at your time, looking at how much money you're actually making, and start spending time a lot more wisely. If you're a smaller or a newer seller, you might not know. I don't know what makes money. I don't know what the profitable things are. I'm going to tell you right now, creating products, nearly always a great thing to do, especially if you've got like less than 100 products. I just keep making, because products are literally what puts money into your PayPal account. Once you have got like 100 products though, just constantly churning them out, it becomes kind of pointless. It's that episode, the law of diminishing returns. So, optimizing your listings, 100% guaranteed will improve your sales. Like SEO, increasing your views, making better covers, thumbnails, adding previews, great descriptions, price tweaks, all that kind of stuff. Guaranteed that improving your listings is going to improve your sales. Like that is a great use of your time. That is one of those things where you're pressing that button and then just like hundreds of dollars are coming out. I use the $100 as an example, but if you're a really, really big seller where you're earning, really large amounts of money, more than just a couple $100 coming out, optimizing listings for you could be tens of thousands of dollars shooting out at you. Like that's the reality. Sometimes it's really good to think about the big picture like that. When you're a smaller seller and you're making a couple $100 a month, it's like the product creation button probably just like shoots $100 at you. You're someone that's making 5 figures a month, 6 figures a year, 6 figures a month, whatever, like those big amounts of money. You're making a lot of money each day, a 4-figure day kind of gal, good for you, that kind of thing. This is where you have to start thinking about like, pressing the optimizing listing button is the equivalent of $1,000 being shot at me. And then you think about, okay, I have a really established Instagram account, but the reality is that doesn't give me $1,000 in a day. Like that's the reality you want to be thinking about. You could look at this button analogy on a day-to-day basis, on a week-to-week, on a month-to-month, on a year-to-year. Like you could look at that sitting down at the desk with all the buttons and look at your year as a whole. And you could like say, okay, the TPT button where I'm like working on my store and making products and optimizing listings, when I press that button, that shoots me $70,000 because that's what you earn on TPT each year. Woohoo! And then you look at the year on Instagram and you go, how much money did I make on Instagram this year when I go to my traffic section? I bought me $300. That's where you start to go like, whoa. When you look at these kind of analogies like big scale, on a year-to-year basis, which button is shooting thousands of dollars, which one isn't? Like it can be really confronting. And you can also just look at things on like a day-to-day or week-to-week, like on the average week. Okay, how much money did I make from my email list this week? I sent one email. I made $50. Okay, that seems pretty great. Like that's a good use of time. But then you look at the week of your earnings on TPT, which was a result of product creation for the most part, and then like optimizing listings. And you go, okay, I made $600 this week on TPT. Like that's what I made on TPT. Nothing to do with my email list. Like because I haven't sent any emails about all these other products. Like they just made $600 from existing on TPT. Like that's the buttons of product creation and product optimizing. It's like, wow. So I encourage you to think about the button analogy for more than just a day. You can do a week, you can do a month, you can do a year, you can do your entire business all time. All time, how much money have you made from your Facebook page? Ever, like ever. How much money has it ever brought you compared to your store? Like it can be really, really powerful. So that's the end of my little rant. I promise I will stop now. Sometimes I get really passionate about these things, but I really just want you to think about that and go like, wow, crazy stuff. I've done it. Trust me, it's pretty confronting. Once you do really, really think about how much money would actually be in your hand, you go, wow, I need to be spending my time way more differently. That's actually probably what helped me create SFS, my program for seasoned sellers, Secrets for Success, where we're pausing on marketing and stuff and really focusing on our stores. Because it was like, yeah, these eye-opening moments of going like, wow, where is your money coming from? It's crazy. Anyway, I hope this episode has helped. I promise I will stop rambling now. I hope that you have a terrific day.
Thank you for listening to this episode of The Terrific Teacherpreneur. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to rate, subscribe, and review on your preferred podcast listening platform. We really appreciate that effort. Come back for more actionable tips and helpful wisdom in the next episode with your host, Alex. Until then.